Hi there, it's David from Cooking Chat. Welcome to the March edition of Wine Pairing Problems. And what do we have in the month of March? St. Patrick's Day. So our wine pairing problem for the month is what wine to serve with corned beef and cabbage. I know you might be thinking that's a meal to drink a Guinness with. I won't say that's a bad idea, but I actually prefer to have a Guinness while the corned beef is cooking, and then by the time it's actually ready, I'm good for some wine at that point. Why is corned beef and cabbage challenging for wine pairings? Let's talk about that for a minute. First of all, we have beef that's rather salty, so that can be a little tough for the wine. And then it's cooking with cabbage. And cabbage, I could get scientific, but I'm just gonna say it's got a funky thing going on. And so those are two elements that make the pairing a little challenging. So if you read for suggestions on what to pair with corned beef and cabbage, if you're looking for wine, you'll see all kinds of suggestions, probably 10, 12 different ideas, just quickly glancing around the internet. And you'll find that some people will recommend a white wine, which you might think is a little unusual, and it is, because beef, of course, we usually go with red wine, but you know, we can't hold too hard and fast to any of these wine pairing rules, and this is a good example. So, in fact, last year I did a little experiment. I did a white Vouvray from the Loire region of France, and I also did a Burgundy from France, a red Burgundy. So, and I actually like the Vouvray better. So this year we're gonna do another version of that experiment. I have poured a Riesling and a Zinfandel, both American wines this year, that I'm gonna tell you. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tell you a little bit about the wines, taste them before we eat. The corned beef is finishing up in the pot as we speak. And you know, I don't think you wanna see me go at my corned beef and cabbage. That wouldn't be a pretty scene on the video. So what I'm gonna do is take some notes and then report back and see which we like better. So let's talk a little bit about the wine. So the first one we have here is Ravines Finger Lake Dry Riesling. Sometimes I do like an off dry Riesling if I'm going for spicy food, but definitely not with the beef meal here. So it's a dry Riesling, and it's like got nice wet stone notes on the nose. Got pear fruit going on, some nice acidity, which is going to be good, and underlying minerality. Definitely, like many Rieslings, seems like a food-friendly wine. I'm going to be curious how this works. By the way, if you're ever thinking about a white wine with beef, you definitely want something that's got pretty full body. You know, it's not time to break out a Pinot Grigio or some other lighter style wine. Riesling can definitely stand up to some hefty meals. I often will have Riesling with like a pork dish or something, so definitely has potential. And then kind of the other option we have here is, let's bring it up here, is this Flying Cloud Zinfandel, which is from Paso Robles. I hadn't tasted it before, but it was recommended to me by friends who had tried it, so I decided to give it a go. And here, let's give it a little taste. It's definitely kind of delicate on the nose, not as potent as some Zinfandels on the nose. It's got nice blackberry, or maybe I may call it black cherry fruit. It's definitely a fairly subtle Zinfandel, which holds potential for pairing well with the meal. I was asking a few people what they thought in terms of wines. A couple people mentioned Zinfandel, and if you might remember, the last month we were talking about pairings with chili, and what we came up with, we did a Zinfandel, and that did work out pretty well. So I definitely like a good Zinfandel, and so I'm curious to see which of these is going to work better with our meal. So we're going to pause. I'll show you a little shot of what our corned beef and cabbage looks like. Then I'll pop back on and share the results. Cheers. Hi, we're back to report on the results of testing some wine pairings for corned beef and cabbage last night. So as I mentioned, we started with the Riesling, and here it is. I still have a little left over here. this is, again, the Ravines, not Long Island, excuse me, Finger Lakes Riesling. And I really thought this worked quite nicely, particularly with the cabbage. When the big bite of cabbage, the Riesling went very well with the cabbage, and also we had some zesty mustard on our corned beef, and that paired very nicely. Kind of a grape that has its origins in Germany, kind of that cabbage and mustard combo. I know it was an Irish meal, but it did have a German element to it that worked pretty well with the Riesling. So that's 2 years in a row. Our white wines have fared quite well. But I am happy to report also that this Flying Cloud Zinfandel from Paso Robles also is another good choice that I can recommend to you. It was very fruit forward and opened up nicely in the glass, and it worked out pretty well. So I was thinking back to, so we've tested 4 wines now over the last 2 St. Patrick's Day dinners, and the one that really didn't work was an earthy Burgundy. So just at least with those 2 red comparisons, I'm kind of thinking that you probably, if you want to go red, a Zinfandel that's fruit forward is a good choice. But in general, I would probably stay away from the earthy style, but more fruit forward to to stand up to all that saltiness in the corned beef. So that is my recommendation. Go on to Cooking Chat. I'll link to it down in the comments section, or above the comments section, to let you know. You can click to it to get more information about the test pairings we tested and the wines. And until then, and until next time, we say slanche.